And lastly, the guiding principles offer us some considerations for developing and or refining a dual language program. One, program duration. We need to take into account how long we plan for the students to be in this program. What is our trajectory or our pathway? We must take into account that we need at least 6 years to yield higher student outcomes. So that's the average time it takes to meet that native-like proficiency and grade level achievement. Also, we want to take into account language allocation. So that's the ratio of English that's used compared to the partner language, like in my case would be Spanish. So if we have two-way and one-way programs in our schools, we have to choose between the 50-50 model or the 90-10, which determines the percentage of the partner language. So 50-50 is 50% English, 50% Spanish, starting at the kinder level, or 90-10, 90% Spanish, 10% English at the kinder level, adding 10% till fourth grade we're at 50%, and as well as in fifth grade 50%. I have my own opinions about this, but based on the guiding principles, which I agree with, 90-10 gives that strong base in the partner language, which is the minority language. I found that when we did the 50-50 model, students weren't as strong in their Spanish. Whether they spoke Spanish at home or if they were native English speakers, their Spanish wasn't as strong at the fifth grade level when they left us. Whereas now the 90-10 model, we're seeing such a higher level of fluency, and also we're seeing that the Spanish has just been elevated and it's now treated with the same respect as English. So it must be taken into account based off of what your goals are for your school and for your students and what your kids need, what will be better for them. Also, we need to take into account literacy instruction. So, for example, in the 90-10 model, they're going to learn to read in the partner language, in my case, Spanish, first, and that's all the kids. Whereas the 50-50 model, the kids can either learn simultaneously English and Spanish, so they're reading in both languages, or sometimes in that model they are separated, like in Gomez and Gomez, and they're taught in their native language first and then brought back together. So not surprisingly, in that model, the less prestigious language, the minority language in society, is usually the one that's subject to be lost. And so often, if they learn to read in English first, you never really gain back that excitement to read in the minority language. Lastly, you want to take into account your student demographics. So it's recommended that in a two-way model, ideally it's 50% native Spanish or native, the partner language, 50% English. Although they say, obviously that's not always possible. So you don't want to dip below 1/3 of your students being native English speakers, because that really gives you enough models of the native language in the room to partner up with your 2/3 of your English language learners that are in the classroom. But you need to take that into account when you're planning and creating a new program.